Have you ever looked around your home and felt stuck? Not because you don't care about cleaning, but because every object holds a memory. Every corner tells a story. And the thought of letting go, it feels impossible. I want you to know something important today. Decluttering isn't just about tidying up. It's about confronting time itself. It's about facing changes in our lives that we didn't ask for and sometimes don't want to accept. Today, I'm going to share 5 harsh truths about decluttering that most people won't tell you. These are the things I've learned from working with hundreds of older adults who have struggled with this exact challenge. And if you've ever felt overwhelmed by the clutter in your home, I want you to know you're not alone. And if you found this information helpful, comment 1 below. And if you don't like the topic, comment 2, so that we may bring more valuable content for you. We'll talk about why decluttering is so emotionally overwhelming, why it takes longer than expected, and the truth about what makes it so hard to let go. And please stay until the end, because the last point might surprise you the most. It changed how I think about decluttering entirely. So let's begin with the first truth, which might hit close to home. 1. Decluttering feels like losing pieces of yourself. A home is not just a house. It's a museum of our memories. Think about it. That old rocking chair in the corner isn't just furniture. It's where you rocked your baby to sleep 40 years ago. It's where you sat when you received that important phone call. It's where you read stories to your grandchildren. Those photo albums stacked on the shelf aren't just taking up space. They hold the laughter and faces of loved ones who may no longer be here. They capture celebrations, milestones, and quiet moments that shaped your life. That dusty old scarf hanging in the back of your closet, it's not just fabric. It might be the last gift from a spouse who's no longer with you. How do you simply toss that in a donation bin? This is why decluttering at our age isn't simple. It's not about whether something is useful anymore. It's about the pain of what feels like erasing history. Every item we consider removing feels like we're letting go of a piece of our story. Mrs. Johnson, one of my friends who recently moved to a smaller apartment, told me something I'll never forget. She said, "When I look at my things, I'm not seeing clutter. I'm seeing my life." She held an old teacup in her hands as tears welled in her eyes. This was my mother's. When I hold it, I can still hear her voice. The emotional conflict is real. How do you throw away something that still carries love? How do you decide which memories stay and which ones go? And as if the emotional weight wasn't enough, our bodies remind us that decluttering isn't as easy as it used to be. 2. Physical limitations make it harder than you expect. Once upon a time, cleaning was easy. A weekend afternoon was all you needed to sort through a room, organize a closet, or clean out the garage. Now, a simple task feels like climbing a mountain. The truth is, our bodies change as we age, and what used to be simple becomes challenging. Bending down to pick up items from the floor feels like a workout. Lifting old boxes from high shelves can cause pain or even injury. What used to take an hour now takes a whole afternoon, if not days. Thomas, a 78-year-old veteran I helped with decluttering his basement, put it perfectly. "My mind still thinks I'm 40, but my knees keep reminding me I'm not." This physical reality creates frustration. Many of us feel a sense of loss when we can't clean like we used to. Some avoid decluttering altogether because it reminds them they're aging, a fact most of us would rather not dwell on. There's also a quiet guilt that comes with this. You want to keep things tidy, but your body just won't let you do it the way you once could. You look at that stack of magazines or those boxes in the spare room and think, "I should take care of that." But your energy is limited, and there are more pressing needs each day. Martha, who lives alone in her family home, shared with me, "Sometimes I look at those high shelves that need clearing out and I just close the door. It's easier to pretend they don't need organizing than to admit I can't reach them safely anymore." But even when you finally sit down to decide what to keep, that's when the real mental battle begins. 3. The mental load can be paralyzing. Have you ever picked up an item and just stared at it, unable to decide what to do with it? You're not alone. Decision fatigue is real, especially when decluttering. The constant questioning in your mind. Should I keep this? Will I need it later? Will I regret throwing it away? It's exhausting to make hundreds of these decisions in a single day. Then there's the guilt. This was a gift from my sister. I can't just get rid of it, even though I never use it. Or, my children might want this someday, even when they've told you they don't. A cluttered home creates anxiety too. You look around and see years of unfinished tasks, and you just don't know where to start. It's overwhelming to the point where doing nothing feels easier than doing something. I remember visiting Eleanor, who had been trying to sort through her husband's clothes 2 years after he passed away. Every time she tried, she'd end up sitting on the bed, surrounded by his shirts, unable to continue. Each decision feels impossible, she told me. If I keep too much, my closet stays cluttered. If I give too much away, I feel like I'm erasing him. This battle between emotional attachment and practicality plays out daily. We tell ourselves, I might use this one day, even when deep down we know we probably won't. Barbara, a 72-year-old former teacher, showed me her craft room filled with supplies for projects she hadn't touched in years. I keep thinking I'll get back to it, she admitted. But honestly, my arthritis makes those detailed crafts impossible now. I just can't seem to let go of who I used to be. And this is where the hardest truth comes in, because letting go isn't just about objects. It's about facing something much deeper. For letting go feels like saying goodbye. Decluttering is not just about stuff. It's about facing loss. There's a genuine fear that comes with letting go of sentimental items. The fear of forgetting. Throwing away an item can feel like throwing away the person or memory attached to it. If I don't keep my late husband's fishing gear, will I forget the sound of his laugh when he caught a big one? If I donate my daughter's childhood toys, will I lose those precious memories of her playing on the living room floor? If I let this go, am I letting go of them? This question haunts many of us as we age and our homes fill with memories of people who are no longer with us or times that have passed. The guilt and grief are real. Many seniors feel like they're betraying their past selves when they discard sentimental objects. That old dress from your 40th wedding anniversary, that souvenir from your one trip to Paris, the tools you use in your career, they all tell the story of a life well lived. Getting rid of them can feel like erasing your own history. Frank, a widower of 15 years, showed me a drawer full of birthday cards from his late wife. I know they're just taking up space, he said quietly, but they're in her handwriting. They're proof she was here, that she loved me. How do I throw that away? But what if we reframe this challenge? What if we don't have to let go of the memories, just the clutter? Perhaps we can keep one card instead of 50. Maybe a photo of that fishing trip means more than keeping all the gear. Sometimes a single item can carry the emotional weight of an entire collection. And if all of this wasn't challenging enough, there's one final truth that makes decluttering feel impossible. 5. Decluttering takes much longer than you expect. We've all done it. Looked at a cluttered room and thought, I'll sort this out this weekend. Then that weekend turns into weeks, months, or even years. The reality? A task that seems like it'll take an hour turns into days or weeks. What looks like a simple sorting job becomes an emotional marathon. Why does decluttering take so much longer for seniors? Because every item is a decision. And as we discussed, those decisions aren't simple. Memories slow things down. You pick up a photo album and suddenly 2 hours have passed as you revisited old times. Physical limitations mean you need more breaks. Emotional stress makes it hard to keep going day after day. Helen started clearing out her sewing room in January. When I visited her in June, she was still working on it. I had no idea how much was in there, she said. And each box I open sends me down another memory lane. Sometimes I can only handle 30 minutes before I'm either too tired or too tearful to continue. The key to making it easier isn't to rush. It's actually to slow down even more, but in a deliberate way. Small, bite-sized decluttering sessions. Perhaps just one drawer or one shelf at a time. 15 minutes daily is better than an exhausting 8-hour session that leaves you discouraged. Focus on keeping only what adds joy to the present. Not what might be useful someday. Not what was important once. But what matters to your life right now. And perhaps most importantly, ask for help without shame. Whether it's family, friends, or professional organizers, having support makes the process both physically easier and emotionally less lonely. Richard, who cleared out his home of 52 years with the help of his grandchildren, shared, I was embarrassed to ask for help at first, but having them there made it more of a family history lesson than a chore. Their questions about different items helped me decide what was truly worth keeping. So, what's the takeaway from all of this? It's not just about decluttering. It's about finding peace. After all we've discussed, I want to leave you with this thought. Decluttering isn't just about throwing things away. It's about creating a home that feels light, peaceful, and full of love. The goal isn't to have a pristine, empty space like in a magazine. The goal is to be surrounded by things that truly matter to you now, things that support your current life rather than anchoring you to the past in ways that don't serve you anymore. You don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to do it alone. Start small and be kind to yourself through the process. Remember that your worth isn't in your possessions. It's in the life you've lived and the love you've shared. Margaret, at 85, finally cleared enough space in her living room to set up an easel. She'd always wanted paint, but never had the room. I realized I was keeping so many things from my past that I wasn't making space for things I want in my present, she told me, proudly showing a landscape she completed. What about you? What's the hardest part of decluttering for you? Is it the emotional attachments, the physical challenges, or something else entirely? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment below. And if you know someone struggling with decluttering, please share this video with them. Sometimes knowing we're not alone in our challenges is the encouragement we need to take that first small step. Before you go, if you found this helpful, please consider subscribing to our channel. We share new videos like this every week, all designed to help make your golden years truly golden. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Remember, decluttering isn't just about creating space in your home. It's about creating space in your life for new joys and new memories. Practical strategies for overcoming decluttering challenges. Now that we've covered the 5 harsh truths about decluttering, let's talk about some practical ways to overcome these challenges. I've gathered these tips from working with hundreds of seniors who have successfully transformed their living spaces. When emotions make decluttering difficult, when you're facing items with deep emotional connections, try these approaches. Take photos of sentimental items before letting them go. These photos take up much less space, but still preserve the memory. Martha created a memory book with photos of her children's art projects and school awards. Now, instead of boxes in the attic, I have one beautiful book I can look through anytime, she says. Consider keeping just one representative item instead of an entire collection. One teacup from your mother's set can carry the same memories as keeping all 12. One tool from your father's workshop can honor his memory just as well as keeping an entire toolbox. Share the story before sharing the item. Sometimes what we really want to preserve isn't the object itself, but the story behind it. Before giving away your late husband's fishing gear to a young neighbor who loves the sport, share the stories of fishing trips and special catches. This way, the memories live on even as the items find new home. Ask yourself, does keeping this item honor the memory, or is it preventing me from moving forward? Sometimes holding on to too many reminders keeps grief fresh rather than allowing healing. When physical limitations are the barrier, if your body is making decluttering difficult, consider these strategies. Use tools that extend your reach. Grabber tools can help you pick up items without bending. Step stools with handrails can make it safer to reach higher shelves. Work at a comfortable height. Rather than bending down to sort through items on the floor, bring boxes up to table height, where you can sit comfortably to sort through them. Break tasks into small segments that match your energy levels. Even 5 minutes of sorting while waiting for the kettle to boil can add up over time. Create zones in your home. Have a sorting station where you can sit comfortably. Keep donation boxes in accessible locations. This way, you can work a little at a time without having to set up and clean up for each session. Don't hesitate to ask for physical help. Whether the family member, neighbor, or hired help, getting assistance with the heavy lifting or reaching high shelves isn't a sign of weakness. It's a smart strategy. When decision fatigue overwhelms you, to combat the mental exhaustion of making too many decisions, use the yes test. Instead of asking if you should get rid of something, ask if you would buy it again today. If the answer is an enthusiastic yes, it might be time to let it go. Set a timer for decision-making. Give yourself 10 seconds per item. Often our first instinct is the right one, and too much deliberation leads to keeping things out of guilt or just in case. Create clear categories to simplify decisions. For example, use regularly, love and display, sentimental but can photograph and release, and no longer serves me. Having these categories can make the sorting process more straightforward. Limit options with the container method. Decide that all your books need to fit on the existing bookshelf, or all your kitchen gadgets must fit in a specific drawer. This creates a natural boundary for how much you can keep. Schedule decluttering for your best time of day. If you're sharper in the morning, that's when you should make decisions about what to keep and what to let go. When letting go feels like goodbye. For those times when parting with possessions feels like losing connections, consider creating legacy gifts. Instead of keeping all your treasured items packed away, could you share some with loved ones now? Watching someone enjoy and use a special item can bring more joy than keeping it hidden away. Honor the past while making room for the present. Perhaps display one special photo rather than keeping boxes of them. Or use a beloved piece of fabric to create something new, like a memory quilt or framed art. Ask yourself, what would the person who gave me this want? Often, they will want their gift to be useful and bring joy, not create burden or guilt. Remember that memories live in your heart, not in your possessions. The love, lessons, and connections remain even when the physical items are gone, when time is a challenge. To address the reality that decluttering takes longer than expected, create a realistic timeline. Instead of cleaning out the attic this weekend, try spending 30 minutes sorting one box in the attic each Saturday. Use a calendar to track progress. Mark days when you'll work on specific areas, and celebrate when you complete them. Consider seasonal decluttering. Use natural transitions like spring cleaning or before holiday gatherings as motivation for focused efforts. Break large spaces into small tasks. Don't think clean the bedroom. Instead, think sort the top drawer of the dresser or organize the bedside table. Use a one-in, one-out rule going forward to prevent new clutter from accumulating while you're working on the existing items. Special considerations for different types of items. Let's look at some specific categories that often cause the most difficulty. Photographs and memorabilia. These items carry perhaps the heaviest emotional weight. Consider digitizing photos to save space while preserving memories. For physical photos, keep only the best ones that truly capture special moments or people. For children's artwork and schoolwork, select representative pieces from different ages rather than every paper they ever brought home. Create a memory box with strict size limitations. When it's full, review the contents and see if everything still deserves that valuable space. Clothing and personal items. Ask yourself if each item fits your current lifestyle, not the life you once had or wish you had. The formal dresses might have been perfect for your working years, but if you haven't attended a formal event in 5 years, how many do you really need to keep? For items with sentimental value, consider keeping just a small piece. A swatch from a wedding dress in a frame takes up less space than an entire gown in a box. Books and media. With digital options available for most books and music, consider which physical copies truly add value to your life. Keep books you refer to regularly or that hold special inscriptions or memories. For others, consider whether your local library has copies you could borrow if you wanted to read them again. Kitchen items and household goods. Be honest about what you actually use. Many of us keep specialized gadgets and serving pieces just in case. But if you haven't used something in over a year, it's probably not essential to your current lifestyle. Consider your entertaining reality. If you no longer host large gatherings, do you need place settings for 12? Papers and documents. Create a simple filing system for important papers, and be ruthless about discarding what you don't need. Check with a financial advisor about how long to keep various financial records. Many people keep decades of bank statements and tax documents that could safely be shredded. Scan important documents to save space while maintaining records. Finding support for your decluttering journey. Remember, you don't have to face this challenge alone. Family members can offer both practical help and emotional support, though sometimes their own attachments to your items can complicate matters. Friends who are going through similar life stages may be ideal decluttering partners. You can help each other stay motivated and share both the physical work and emotional process. Professional organizers who specialize in working with seniors understand both the physical and emotional aspects of downsizing. While this is a paid service, many find the investment well worth the results. Senior centers sometimes offer decluttering workshops or support groups where you can find both practical tips and emotional understanding. Faith communities may have volunteers who help seniors with household tasks, including organizing and decluttering. As we wrap up this extended discussion, I want to leave you with these thoughts. Decluttering is a process, not an event. Give yourself permission to take the time you need. Celebrate small victories. Clearing a single drawer is progress worth acknowledging. Focus on what you're gaining, space, safety, peace of mind, rather than what you're losing. Remember that the value of your life is in your experiences, relationships, and the love you've shared, not in your possessions. The home you create now should serve who you are today, not who you were in the past or who you think you should be. I hope these insights and strategies help you on your decluttering journey. Remember, the goal isn't perfection. It's creating a living space that supports your current life and brings you peace and joy. What strategies have worked for you in your decluttering efforts? I'd love to hear your experiences and tips in the comments below. And if you found this information helpful, comment 1 below. And if you don't like the topic, comment 2, so that we may bring more valuable content for you. Please share it with others who might benefit. Together, we can make this challenging process a little easier for everyone.